Our democracy, our republic, our government has always recognized and upheld rights of minorities, but not special rights of minorities, not extraordinary rights of minorities, and certainly the fact remains that all Indians are citizens.
Month after month for more than 2 years, and writing it down and believing the child was going to die, and the caseworker seeing cigarette burns on this kid's face, actually seeing cigarette burns and writing it down in the file, and still nobody does anything about it.
And they're off. That bell signals the start of one of the most popular events at this year's Wisconsin Valley Fair in Wausau, and all the action takes place here at Pork Chop Downs. Yeah, you heard right, Pork Chop Downs. This sawdust track is home to Swinedom's swiftest, the world-famous Robinson's Racing Pigs.
If the comment was made that we hoped it could be 5 years, the world changed. The world changed. So nobody lied to him. Let's get that. Unequivocally, nobody lied to him.
A half ago, that third body was finally taken out. Rescue workers had a very difficult time because there still was methane detected underground. It was a methane explosion, so rescue workers...
Bottom line is that no significant improvement is going to be made in the schools unless something changes in the greater society. We just mirror what happens out there.
Newhart has given him a hope for the future. He's got it all planned.
I want to be a doctor when I grow up.
With a splash, it officially began the nation's first ever rubber duck race, featuring some 3,000 contestants winding their way slowly down this river as their anxious owners stood by on shore.
We got to have something to do on Sunday afternoon. So I sit around and drink beer.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the 1989 Excellence in Broadcasting Awards. The Broadcasting Awards program is sponsored annually by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association to recognize outstanding achievement by Wisconsin radio and television broadcasters. This competition was established to encourage the highest standards of reporting, community service, and production creativity. It brings the ultimate prize of peer recognition to members of the broadcast industry in Wisconsin. We also wish to take this opportunity to thank the Miller Brewing Company for making this afternoon's program possible. And now on with this year's awards. In our first category, Spot News Major Market Radio, a Merit Award is given to WTSO AM Madison for shooting. A Merit Award is also given to WTMJ AM Milwaukee for Marquette Fire. The best of 1989 Spot News Major Market Radio goes to WTMJ AM Milwaukee for Search for Ramona. Frank Richardson and Lynn Spranger reporters, Ron Irwin anchor.
Frank? Ron, I'm in the 500 block of Beecher where there's a happy ending to this story. Excuse me. Little 6-year-old Ramona Spielman has in fact been found. You must realize, Ron, that this is rather an on-the-spot report. Just as I walked up to call you to tell you nothing was happening, there she was. She'd been brought back by the police after being found at a nearby address. All safe and sound. Little 6-year-old Ramona Spielman's back home. And this is Frank Richardson, WTMJ Radio News at 560 West Beecher.
For Spot News Medium Market Radio, one Merit Award is given to WSAU AM Wausau for Downtown Hotel Fire. The best of 1989 Spot News Media Market Radio goes to WDLB AM Marshfield for First Night of Spearfishing. Reporter, editor, announcer Tom Garrettson.
120 treaty rights opponents stayed behind a roped-off line at the county park's boat landing. They were watched by 30 police officers from Wausau and Marathon County. DNR guards were on the water and reported no incidents.
Garbage, they shouldn't be out there spearing. We're not allowed to. Hell, I'm part Indian and I can't go out there. Can't even come on the public landing. Got to stand behind the cute little lines and in the rocks and in the brush.
The Indians' quota was 1,100, but DNR officials said the take would be nowhere near that. And because spawning was finished a week ago, they doubted that the...
In Spot News Small Market Radio, one merit award was given to WMEQ AM Menominee for River Falls plane crash. Our best of 1989 in Spot News Small Market Radio, WWMH-FM Minocqua for Cemetery Road fire. Anchor Patty Gullins, reporter-producer John Schurer.
Officials say Daniel Peterson died of smoke inhalation. Right now, Lac du Flambeau Volunteer Fire Chief Bob Baccaro is at the scene supervising mop-up of the fire.
The building was fully involved with all kinds of heavy smoke coming out of every crack and crevice in it when we got here. Passerby helped in the search and actually got a child out of there.
For Spot News Major Market Television, a merit award is given to WISN-TV Milwaukee for helicopter crash. A merit award is also given to WISC-TV Madison for apartment fire. The best of 1989 in Spot News Major Market Television, WISN-TV Milwaukee for helicopter crash.
From this extraordinary videotape recorded by an amateur photographer and from reports by eyewitnesses, it now appears the helicopter's tail rotor froze, forcing the pilot to jettison his load and sending the aircraft spinning out of control.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Two workers on the ground at the time were in touch with the pilot when it happened.
He went out, he said, I'm losing it, and that was that day.
Miraculously, the pilot was relatively unscathed. 43-year-old Ben Moore of Elmhurst, Illinois, suffered lacerations to the legs and face.
He was going to come down, and he did everything in his power to miss everybody, and he ended up here in the water, and he did a fantastic job doing that.
Spot News Media Market Television, one merit award is given to WEAU-TV Eau Claire for spearfishing fear. Our Best Spot News 1989 Media Market Television goes to WQOW-TV Eau Claire for Chippewa Falls standoff. Reporter Andrew Bohag, photographer Craig Cortness.
Several shots were fired between 9:30 and midnight. Another volley at 1 a.m. And a final burst just after 3 this morning. When dawn broke on Elm Street today, 19 shots had been fired.
Squads were sent up here in regard to domestic disturbance, and upon arrival, several shots were fired out of the upstairs windows.
Shortly before 8 o'clock this morning, the confrontation ended.
I guess at this point I won't get into how we got him, convinced him to come down and unlock the door. We did. And
Lowe says the suspect is 20-year-old David Bakeman. He says he believes he knows what triggered this incident, but he wouldn't tell us what that is.
In the hard news category for Major Market Radio, a merit award is given to WTMJ-AM Milwaukee for the Bush Bash. A merit award is also given to WTMJ-AM Milwaukee for Treaty Turndown. Our best of 1989 in hard news goes to WUWM-FM Milwaukee for Chippewa Treaty Rights. Producers Dave Foch and Marge Pitroff.
I want you to understand that the Chippewa fishing rights issue is very essential to what we're doing. The Indian country is looking at Wisconsin to find out what they're going to do.
The biggest threat to our rights are you folks. You folks who allow the state of Wisconsin to engage in a policy which dismantles very principles of democracy.
In hard news Media Market Radio, one merit award was given to WCUB-AM Two Rivers for juvenile trial. The best of 1989 in hard news goes to WSAU-AM Wausau for Coons Murders, Jacob's Trial. Al Lippert, reporter.
The jury in the Chris Jacobs III murder case has returned with a verdict, finding Jacobs not guilty on all 5 counts of being party to the crime of first-degree murder for the Coons murders near Athens in July of 1987. Judge Vincent Howard read the jury's decision.
Not guilty of murder in the first degree of Helen Coons, about July 5th, 1987, dated this 28th day of October, 1989.
Special Prosecutor Rand Krieger said he pursued the case because he felt it had merit.
The jury's spoken, and under our system of law, they have the final decision. I don't quarrel with jury verdicts.
For Hard News Small Market Radio, 1 Merit Award was given to WFAW-AM Fort Atkinson for Commander Hess. The best of 1989 Hard News Small Market Radio goes to WWMH-FM Minocqua for Arborvita Spearfishing. Reporter, producer, narrator, John Scherer.
You people have got to do something.
Well, somebody got to get hurt first?
Somebody's got to get killed.
We don't want anybody to get hurt. We don't want anybody's business hurt.
Eventually, police blocked the road to the landing and, organized in squadrons, marched in.
People on the right will have to leave this area. Leave the area. This is an awful assembly.
At that point, the until then quiet crowd erupted. Police used dogs, a bullhorn, and stood shoulder to shoulder with nightsticks drawn to move the crowd back.
For Hard News Major Market Television, 1 Merit Award is given to WISN TV Milwaukee for Summerfest Drinking. The best in Hard News for 1989 is awarded to WITI-TV Milwaukee for Send Help, Hurry. Jeff Jackson, Scott Feldmeyer, reporters.
When Roger Bruce called the fire department himself, the dispatcher failed to ask any questions about the victim, whether she was breathing or conscious. He just said, "Somebody's on the way, somebody's on the way, somebody's on the way," and he did not offer any help.
Another major problem with that particular incident was, given the second chance to talk with somebody with the victim, the dispatcher should have given pre-arrival instructions. There's absolutely no question.
The failure to give pre-arrival instructions, to send paramedics immediately in obviously urgent emergencies, are just some of the problems plaguing paramedic dispatching in Milwaukee.
In Hard News Media Market Television, 1 Merit Award is given to WJFW-TV Rhinelander for Chippewa Treaty Rights. The best of 1989 Hard News Media Market Television goes to WEAU-TV Eau Claire for Saga of Larry Owen Weeks. Mike Rindo, Rob Krybick, and John Goff, reporters. Dennis Austad and Steve Betchkel, photographers.
Larry Owen Weeks didn't look like a convicted killer when he turned himself into authorities last night. He was clean-shaven, unarmed, scared, and simply tired of running.
He's a real nice guy. I never expected that he'd be a killer or anything. They like to do lots of family things, like go camping on the weekends and go swimming in the pool.
But Alabama police describe him differently. Weeks was convicted there at age 17 of kidnapping a man, shooting him in the head, and burning his body. He's escaped from prison twice. The second time in 1983, he fled to Eau Claire, where he settled into a comfortable career as a carpenter.
Our next category, mini documentary or series, Major Market Radio. A Merit Award goes to WHAAM Madison for AIDS. A Merit Award is also given to WUWM-FM Milwaukee for drug testing. And a Merit Award is also given to WTMJ-AM Milwaukee for The Deer Hunters. The best of 1989 Major Market Radio, mini documentary or series goes to WHAAM Madison for Invisible Population. Producer Ann Strainchamps, reporter Helen Clark.
About 40 miles south of Stevens Point, Wisconsin, is cucumber and pepper growing territory. The farms around Waushara and other central Sands counties grow vegetables to sell to pickle companies, and most rely on migrant farm workers to do the picking.
Finish it.
In this particular field today, about 30 migrant farm workers are bent over the long rows. There are 13-year-old kids and 60-year-old grandparents out here.
I usually work from 10 to 16 hours a day. Every day is Saturday, Sunday.
For mini-documentary or series Media Market Radio, a merit is given to WAXX-FM Eau Claire for A Parent's Grief. A merit award is also given to WAYY-AM Eau Claire for Wrongful Employment Tactics. Our Best of 89 mini-documentary or series, Media Market Radio, WPNE-FM Green Bay for Drugs in the Heartland. Producer-editor Ann Strainchamps. Reporter Beth Swedeen.
Here at Burlington High School, substance abuse among these squeaky clean-looking students is every bit as big a problem as in the inner city.
For me, I thought marijuana would solve problems. A lot of people go to football games, they're drunk. They come to dances here drunk.
Murders, gangland shootings, and housing projects may be non-existent on Main Street, but if you ask these kids why they're doing drugs, it's clear small-town living has its own stresses.
It's a boring town. There's nothing to do.
For mini-documentary or series Small Market Radio, a merit is given to WWMH-FM Minocqua for MHLT School Discipline. A merit award is also given to WTCH-AM Shawano for Stealing America. The Best of 1989 for mini-documentary or series Small Market Radio, WMEQ-AM Menominee for Making a Dent in the Drug Crime Connection.
As I used drugs throughout the years, I started surrounding myself with other people that use drugs. And only relating with those type of people.
Schreiner says he stole from his employer to support his drug habit. That led to a forgery conviction, probation, and a stayed 5-year prison sentence. When a barroom brawl put his probation officer at wit's end, Schreiner went to TAP, Eau Claire County's treatment alternative program, which helps drug-dependent convicted criminals deal with their drug problems.
Mini-documentary or series Major Market Television, a merit is given to WISN-TV Milwaukee for Multiple Choices. A merit is also given to WTMJ-TV Milwaukee for Crying Shame. The Best of 1989 mini-documentary or series Major Market Television goes to WISN-TV Milwaukee for Battle Lines. Producer Parker Drew, executive producer Rita Hagen, editor Sean Downs, reporters Alan May, Jerry Taff, and Marty Burns-Wolf, photographers Carrie Edwards and Kip Christine.
These are some of the expensive luxury cars investigators have confiscated over the past months from drug dealers.
When this car comes to the manufacturer, this is chrome, just like the normal automobile. Well, they have the chrome parts taken off and the chrome removed and replated in 14-karat gold. It's a drug dealer's toy. They have a lot of money to spend, and this is one of the ways they spend it.
These are what investigators call flash pictures taken by drug dealers themselves. Part of the mystique of the drug crowd seems to be showing off one's money and guns for the camera. And arguably what's worse is that sometimes they even get their children to pose as drug gangsters.
Finally, mini-documentary or series Media Market Television. A merit award goes to WXOW-TV La Crosse for Save It, Pave It. A merit is given to WAOW-TV Wausau for Facing Racism. A merit is also awarded to WQOW-TV Eau Claire for the economy hits home. The best of 1989 mini-documentary or series, medium market television, goes to WEAU TV Eau Claire for Rural Welfare. David Carlson, reporter, Rob King, photographer.
Don Bouchard went through his own financial drought 3 years ago. He had a back operation and underwent knee surgery. Medical bills squeezed his already tight farm finances. He asked for, but was turned down for welfare.
I had too much in assets here. So, they wanted me to sell part of my business stuff off to live on.
Bouchard did end up selling some machinery. When he went back to the Dunn County Human Services office, he qualified for food stamps. But for many farmers, the system can be confusing, if not unfair.
It's very difficult, and it's very difficult for the income maintenance workers to see a family who's in need and not be able to give the help.
And in our next category, feature-length documentary, in major market radio, no merit awards were given. The best feature-length documentary for 1989 was awarded to WUWM-FM Milwaukee for Black on Black Crime. Kevin Fisher, news director.
Leading cause of death among black males ages 15 to 34 is homicide by other blacks.
Captain Rogers says in most cases in the city of Milwaukee, deadly force was used to settle minor disputes, like the case this week in which a 24-year-old man was shot to death outside a Northside tavern.
Are blacks really targeting blacks? The answer is no. Impoverished areas is where crime flourishes, and in most impoverished areas you have blacks. Young people, especially, are committing a large number of these crimes, and they are picking victims that are most convenient.
In medium market radio, in this category, no awards were given. In small market radio, feature-length documentary, no merit awards were given. The best of 1989 small market radio goes to WMYM-AM Minocqua for Drugs in Our Town. Producer and narrator John Scherer.
The number one drug of choice nationally in the state of Wisconsin and in the Lakeland area is still alcohol.
Alcohol and drug abuse is directly and indirectly responsible for the biggest portion of all the crime that we have.
Here in the rural north, we tend to think of substance abuse, alcoholism, and drugs as something we left behind when we escaped to the city. Something only real on the streets of Miami Vice. Local officials say that's not true.
For feature-length documentary and major market television, a merit award goes to WITI-TV Milwaukee for Teen Sex. A merit is also given to WITI Milwaukee for 48 Hours Streets. The best of 89 for feature-length documentary, major market television, goes to WKOW-TV Madison for Harvest of Tears. Producer-reporter Scott Klug, photographer-editor Paul Zwicker.
The most dangerous occupation in the United States, it's not construction, it's not mining, it's not being a fireman or even being a cop. It's being a farmer. More people are hurt and killed in agricultural accidents than in any other industry in the United States.
Today, each step is an arduous task for Gordy Farrell, who knows too well the shortcomings in the safety standards governing farm machinery. He says he can live with his handicap. What he has a hard time accepting is the fact that once he was trapped inside that corn-picking machine, there was no cutoff switch, except back in the tractor. He was trapped in the machine for 3 hours, alone out in the field without any help.
And for feature-length documentary and media market television, a merit award is given to WJFW-TV Rhinelander for Chippewa Treaty. A merit is also awarded to WEAU-TV Eau Claire for After the Fires. The best of 89 feature-length documentary in medium market television goes to WEAU-TV Eau Claire for We Have Liftoff, produced by the TV 13 news staff.
Good evening and welcome. Exactly 1 week from today, a western Wisconsin man will be orbiting the Earth in the space shuttle Atlantis. For Mark Lee of Viroqua, it's a dream come true. But it's only the latest in a series of dreams turned reality for the U.S. space program. Dreams Wisconsin has been a part of.
All right, liftoff and the clock has started.
In 1961, Alan Shepard rocketed to fame as the first American in space. His colleague, Deke Slayton of Sparta, flew later on the historic Apollo-Soyuz mission. In 1969, Neil Armstrong took his famous first step. Today, Wisconsin native Dan Brandenstein is chief of the astronaut corps at Johnson Space Center. He's already flown 2 shuttle missions and is scheduled for a 3rd in November. But it's next week's flight of Atlantis that's captured the hearts of western Wisconsin.
In the feature category, Major Market Radio, a merit is awarded to WHAAM Madison for Teddy Bear Tales. A merit is also given to WTMJ AM Milwaukee for Fool the Guesser. Our best of 1989 for feature Major Market Radio, WHAAM Madison for Baseball Card Memories. Producer-reporter Steve Paulson, editor Ann Strainchamps, engineer Marvin Nahn.
I'll trade your Jose Canseco. Don't do it! Come on, you're just jealous of me.
Like a lot of boys, I was once hooked on baseball cards. Every week I took my allowance, all 10 cents of it, down to the corner drugstore and blew it on a pack of cards. But like my old Matchbox cars and toy guns, those cards faded into distant memory, until recently, when newspapers started reporting vintage baseball cards selling for incredible prices.
What I see when I see your stack here is about 60 cards or so.
Mm-hmm.
I see that they've been played with and stuff, and
They were played with a lot, right. To my everlasting regret now, I wish I had never played them.
But
For feature Media Market Radio, 1 merit award was given to WAYY-AM Eau Claire for A Look at Fishing. The best of 1989 feature Media Market Radio goes to WAXX-FM Eau Claire for Tallying the 12 Days of Christmas. Judy Clark, producer.
Christmas is a time of giving, and during the 12 days of Christmas, you give and give and give.
I'd say probably $75 for a roast, $15 for a Hungarian partridge.
Couple that Hungarian with a $16.95 Bartlett pear tree from Mueller's Nursery in Chippewa Falls, and your first day of Christmas will cost you $31.95. 2 turtle doves appear on the second day, and Pet Parade in Eau Claire's Oakwood Mall lists them at $150 a pair. That's for your typical white sacred dove imported from California. A turtle dove wasn't in stock.
For the feature category in Small Market Radio, 2 merit awards were given. 1 merit award to WHWC-FM Menominee for long-distance learning. And another merit award goes to WLSU-FM La Crosse for swimming the river. And the best of 1989 in the feature category, Small Market Radio, goes to WATK-AM Antigo for mock rescue.
The exercise was a simulated accident involving the Langlade County Senior Citizen bus with about a dozen passengers, a downed power line, and 2 barrels of hazardous chemicals. The goal was to have police, fire, and rescue officials all work together to assist the injured and clean up the problems. Antigo Police Chief Bob Brand.
Well, it's important in that it helps us remember the little things that we forget. It doesn't happen very often around here, fortunately. And we can critique our own department and find out if we're lacking in any respects.
In the feature category for television, Major Market, 2 merit awards were given. 1 for Draft Horses to WBAY-TV Green Bay. Another merit award to WKOW-TV Madison for Eli's Dog. And Best Feature for 1989 goes to WMTV-TV Madison for Radio Fish.
This walleye is not heading for the dinner table, but rather the operating table. Fishery biologist Don Fagel has anesthetized the fish in preparation for the surgical implant of a radio transmitter. The procedure on a dozen walleye took place early in the spring in preparation for months of intensive study. On a 9,000-acre lake, keeping track of a dozen walleye is no easy matter. But from the air, and using a small portable radio receiver, each fish can be located by the telltale beep of its transmitter. The carefully plotted habits of each of the radio-equipped fish will eventually help design a computer model, which will aid in the managing of the lake.
For television media market in the feature category, a merit is awarded to Fishing with Red and The Big Cheese, both by WXOW-TV of La Crosse. The Best Feature for Television Media Market 1989 goes to Oldies